Grothman from Wisconsin.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on over here. I think the last time we had FEMA before this committee was maybe about 8 years ago, and that was a time when I think down in Louisiana they had mobile homes that were being sold for, I don't know if you remember this, for one audit for maybe a tenth the cost to which they were paid for, but that was the last time. I can tell you, along with many Republicans, when they come into contact with the government, they sometimes worry about prejudice against them. Okay, I know one guy in my district, he once did an ad, and miraculously, not your agency, another agency kind of came down hard on him. Maybe coincidence, maybe not. We all felt it was not coincidence. Under President Biden, foreign aid's become a vehicle to promote an overseas social agenda pushed by one party. The administration's implemented a disturbing trend of using foreign assistance as a tool to advance political and ideological goals. This raises an important question. Is the same political discrimination influencing how FEMA allocates disaster relief domestically, how it responds to this crisis? First of all, FEMA's workforce is unionized and represented by the American Federation of Government Employees. Is that true?
Yes, our employees have that option.
Okay. What percentage of FEMA employees are part of the union, do you know?
I don't have that number on me, but I'll be happy to get back to you.
Well, okay. Does FEMA collect or track data on political contributions made by?
We do not.
Okay. The union representing your employees, at least what I have before me here today, has contributed about $12 million to Democrats over the last 20 years. Last 3 cycles, 93% to Democrats, 96% to Democrats, again, 96% to Democrats. And these contributions go where you'd expect: Senate Majority PAC, DCCC, and President Biden himself. It raises a question. When you have a group of employees or somebody representing employees that is so overwhelmingly slanted to helping one party as opposed to the other party, is it possible that that overwhelming bias slips into some decisions that are being made by your employees?
Unions are not part of our FEMA control, and employees have the option to choose to join them or not.
Right. I mean, the people who run the unions, though, and who are presumably elected by your employees, want to push contributions overwhelmingly to one group. I assume they communicate with your employees. Is this something that possibly concerns you, or is this why we're perhaps here today and that a couple of your employees seem to believe their responsibility was to use their government job to help one group of people rather than the other group of people? Could it perhaps create that mindset?
Congressman, it is just unacceptable that any FEMA employee would tell any part of our organization to not support an individual that was impacted by a disaster because of a political yard sign.
Right. I'm just going to say political yard. You see what I'm saying? Well, you know, it'd be one thing if it's 50-50. But when it's like 95% to one party, 96% to one party, does that create an environment perhaps of a dislike or even hatred of the political party that they're not giving money to? Because, of course, this union, they presumably communicate with their employees, this is who you should be supporting, blah, 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 blah. I sometimes wonder if that atmosphere comes a little bit from these one-sided, slanted unions.
Again, employees have a choice of whether or not they want to join a union or not. Not all of our employees are part of that union, and regardless, it is unacceptable, regardless if you are in a union or not, to discriminate against a disaster survivor because of a political sign in their yard. That's not who we are.
I'm really glad that Chairman Comer is having this committee. Are you aware of anything you're doing to make sure this sort of thing does not happen in the past or in the future, given the overwhelming political slant of the union that represents your employees?
So you're talking about anything I've done with the union or this event?
Specifically to make sure this is not going to happen again. Specifically talking to your employees and say, we realize you have a union that apparently really dislikes Republicans.
Yep.
What are you doing to make sure that that doesn't flop over into how they dole out the government largesse?
Yeah, so immediately upon the termination of the employee that made this direction, I sent out an email to the workforce, letting them know what is expected of them and that we serve all people. I have been in this job for 3.5 years, and my focus has always been on putting people first, and that's all people. We have also conducted refresher training for all of our staff that are in the field, explaining to them what we expect of them, again, so there's no misinterpretation of how we support people that have been impacted from disasters. And we will continue to work with the IG on the investigation on if there's any other factors related to this particular incident.
Thank you. I'm sure this is something that they'll be talking about for the next 15 years.